Hello YouTube, my name's Andrew, and this is the Beginner Series. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the Dinosaur deck. This deck is really cool. I've been having a lot of fun with it on my free-to-play account, and I have a going second build that I usually use on ladder, and then I also want to show you a going first build I've been theorizing. I'll be talking about some of the tech choices for this deck, its strengths, its weaknesses, and I'm going to show a replay. If you guys like these kinds of videos, really appreciate a subscription to the channel. If you want to see more gameplay, you can check me out on Twitch. All the links are in the description. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. Dinosaurs are an amazing toolbox that has access to rank 4 engines in the XYZ category. You can now synchro with this deck due to the inclusion of Scrap Raptor, a newer card, and it has a great link climbing mechanic. You can summon monsters from your deck. Miscellaneous Saurus will let you banish it from graveyard to summon little dinosaurs, medium-sized dinosaurs, and then those can search into spells that get out your big dinosaurs. It's a very versatile deck going first or second. It has plenty of room for hand traps and a very consistent engine. So let's start with the list. I do play one DD Crow. DD Crow is a good hand trap in this meta. You can use this to banish like an Eldritch the Golden Lord or your opponent's crucial combo piece. So I included it in this list. By no means necessary. You can just play your favorite hand traps in these slots. 3 copies of Animadorned Archosaur. This little guy is a normal or special summon, will destroy a dinosaur monster in your hand or field except for himself, and you're going to add double evolution pill. This card you can use to summon from your deck Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, your best boss monster, or Pankratops, which is a Trident-like effect. You contribute it to destroy one monster on the field. In this list, we're playing 1 copy of Baby Ceratosaurus. You just want to destroy this guy. If you destroy it, it special summons a dinosaur from your deck. You can do this using Lost World. You can do it using Soul Eating Oviraptor. There's a lot of ways that this card can get destroyed. You can destroy it with Archosaur. You can play more copies of this if you like. 3 copies of Max C is standard in basically every Master Duel list. And then I chose 1 copy of Petite Pterodon. This is very similar to Baby Ceratosaurus. It's kind of like Little Bros. This one summons level 4 or higher. This one summons level 4 or lower. Ratios on these don't matter a whole lot because you're usually going to be summoning a level 4 specifically. But Baby Ceratosaurus can summon out the Archosaur or potentially another copy of itself, a Pterodon, whereas the Pterodon can summon out the Pankratops. So it's kind of personal preference. For hand traps, I'm playing 1 copy of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, 2 copies of Ash Blossom Joyous Spring. You could, of course, play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. I encourage it. Ghost Ogre is a card that I pulled on this free-to-play account, so I like testing it, but it's come up quite a bit. It has a lot of utility. Pretty much every deck loses to this card in some small amount. All it does is when your opponent activates a card that's already face up on the field, you can just discard it and destroy that card, but it doesn't negate. So whereas a card like Ash Blossom negates and can stun your opponent's turn, this just kind of removes their resources. We have 1 copy of Giant Rex. You're going to usually want to send it to graveyard so that way you can banish it using a card like Miscellaneous Saurus or Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. It's very useful because when it's banished at all, it comes back to the field. It'll allow you to get access to some of your amazing XYZ monsters that we'll talk about in a minute. I also play 1 copy of Tyranno Infinity. This is completely optional. This card is not typical, but it is really funny because it gains attack equal to your banished dinosaurs times 1,000. So Miscellaneous Saurus, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, Double Evolution Pill. These cards are going to banish a lot of dinosaurs, and so this thing can easily hit 4,000 attack or even more. We play 1 copy of Scrap Chimera. This is to facilitate the Scrap engine. Very typical, you're going to have to play this when it's summoned. It's going to special a Scrap Tuner from your graveyard, making the Scrap Raptor into a 1-card XYZ or Synchro 8. 3 copies of Miscellaneous Saurus. This is one of the best reasons to play the Dinosaur deck. It's an in-archetype called by the grave style effect. It's extremely powerful, making it so your monsters, all of your dinosaurs, are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. You can use this to bait out hand traps if you normal summon like an Oviraptor or a Scrap Raptor and activate its effect. Your opponent tries to Ash Blossom, you just chain Miscellaneous Saurus, and then the Ash Blossom does nothing. But it also has an amazing graveyard effect, being able to banish itself plus other dinosaurs to summon a dinosaur from your deck of an equal level. Since this card, Animadorned Archosaur, got added to the game, Miscellaneous Saurus got so much better because you can just discard it from your hand and then banish it and summon the level 1 from your deck without any other cards. And this card, plus a good target to destroy, is full combo. So extremely powerful. Miscellaneous at 3 is a great reason to play dinosaurs in Master Duel. We have 2 copies of Soul Eating Oviraptor. This is one of the best normal summons for the deck. It just searches your deck for any dinosaur and adds it to your hand or sends it to the graveyard. It also has an amazing second effect to destroy dinosaurs on the field, to special from your graveyard. This card can get anything, basically. It's infinite creative potential, and you're typically going to want to normal summon either this or the Scrap Raptor. Now, Scrap Raptor's a bit newer. This card, when you destroy it, it just targets itself and destroys itself, and then it adds a scrap from your deck, probably Scrap Chimera, and gives you another normal summon. So basically, you normal summon this, search out the Chimera, additional normal summon the Chimera, special back the Raptor, and then you have access to either Savage Dragon or this card, which we'll talk about in a minute. It's pretty useful and versatile, and one of the best starters in the deck. I chose to play one copy of Scrap Golem. This is optional. You don't need it for the typical Scrap Engine combo, but it does allow you to extend using your Link monster. You can get this out of your deck, and then once per turn it special summons a level 4 or lower scrap from your graveyard. So if you're using this in your combo, it lets you go into either like a Synchro 9, which I'll show a lot more of in the second list, or you can use it as a free additional Link material to climb up into an Access Code or an Appaloosa. For the big guys, one copy of Dino Wrestler Pankratops, a great staple in any going second deck, but even better in Dinosaurs. You can search this off of Oviraptor, special summon it off of Evolution Pill, or if you draw it, you can just special summon it to start your turn. 2 copies of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, one of the best boss monsters in the game. It can attack everything your opponent controls. If it attacks a defense position monster, it just sends it to the graveyard, deals 1,000. It has a quick play, Book of Eclipse style effect. You destroy one of your monsters, and you just put all of your opponent's monsters face down. Now remember, you can only use this during the main phase, so if you're playing against this deck, trying to activate cards during standby phase, or maybe even in the battle phase, will allow you to kind of dodge the Tyranno. It also can't book Link monsters, so if you're using like a Link spam deck, like Sky Strikers, you can pretty much dodge this effect, but a lot of strategies will fall prey to Conductor's effect. It can end turns. And then we're going second, so one copy of Raigeki, Harpy's Feather Duster. Monster Reborn is exceptionally good going second because there's almost always a monster in the graveyard, and you have a great generic Link engine that will allow you to take advantage of this. 2 copies of Evolution Pill is nice. This does require you to have a dinosaur and a non-dinosaur in your hand and graveyard. We have ways to make that easier, but with 3 copies of Archosaur searching out the 2 Evolution Pills, the ratio makes sense, and you're pretty much always going to have a target with 3 targets to 2 searchers. These ratios are statistically sound. Then we have 3 copies of Fossil Dig, a very good starter. Not once per turn, searches your deck for basically anything. Extremely good card at 3, so we might as well play 3, right? And then I went with 2 copies of Lightning Storm since we're going second. It's nice to clean out some of the spells and traps, especially with a lot of Eldritch in the format. Just get rid of those before you normal summon, so that way it'll make your turn go through a lot easier. And the last card in the main deck is Lost World, an amazing field spell. Lost World will let you, whenever you normal summon or special summon any of your dinosaurs, give your opponent this little egg, this little Jirac egg token. And while they control a token, they cannot target anything on the field with card effects except for tokens. It turns off Effect Veiler, Infinite Impermanence, any kind of destruction effect, compulsory evacuation device. None of these can target your dinosaurs, and then you can attack or try and destroy the token with an Oviraptor and protect it, destroying a monster in your deck instead, which will typically be a Baby Ceratosaurus or a Pterodon, and then they can trigger their effect, summoning more dinosaurs. So trying to destroy the egg and protecting it will allow you to extend. Also, when you attack the egg with any of your dinosaurs and attempt to destroy it, it will activate the Lost World in the damage step. Now, the most important thing to know about the damage step is your opponent cannot use Ash Blossom in the damage step, so you'll be able to summon off of an Oviraptor from your deck when you destroy like a Baby Ceratosaurus in your deck. You summon Oviraptor and activate its effect. Your opponent can't respond to this because it's still in the damage step. We'll talk more about that maybe in a future video, but it's very important to know if you attack the token, your opponent can't respond to your effects very easily. For the extra deck, we're going with a Borreload Savage Dragon as a generic Synchro 8 that you can go into off the scrap combo. And then Dino Wrestler Giga Spinosaurus. Now, this card's kind of cool. It takes a dinosaur tuner, so you make it with a Scrap Raptor, and it can just once per turn just destroy a card your opponent controls. If it battles, your opponent can't activate spells and traps during the damage step, so it gets that once per turn monster destruction, and then if your opponent would try and destroy it, you can just destroy one card you control instead. So it has a lot of good effects. It's 3,000 attack. I kind of like this. It's of course optional, but it's a tech choice I wanted to make you aware of. We do have access to the best rank 4s in the game. Lagia and Dolka. Extremely good. You can't make this with the scrap combo because Chimera is a beast, so it's not so simple. But with cards like Miscellaneousaurus, Oviraptor, and Giant Rex, it's very easy to get 2 level 4 dinosaurs on the field, and you can make this to prevent yourself from losing to Nibiru, the Primal Being. The dinosaurs won't lose to a meteor twice in one lifetime. Dolka is very good. It's not once per turn, so it can negate 2 monsters a turn. Making these into established fields is very useful. We also have Tornado Dragon, which is a generic spell and trap destruction, quick play. Pretty useful. I chose to include it to round out, just so you have the maximum amount of coverage in your rank 4 engine. Baguska is a great backup plan in case your opponent has a board that you just can't break, or maybe like a King of Calamities, or something that is just too hard for you to beat over 1 turn. Just summon Baguska in defense and you'll deal with it later. And then Dugaris is nice in this deck. It has 3 relevant effects. The one that I use the most is doubling the attack of a monster you control. You can double the attack of your Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, and then it attacks all your opponent's monsters, and it's usually going to be a lethal amount of damage. It's important in this deck to play both Link Karibo and Secure Gardenon. The only reason is, let's say you discard Miscellaneousaurus, summon Archosaur, pop a monster, and then search for Double Evolution Pill. Well, you still need a non-dinosaur in your hand or graveyard, and sometimes you just don't have it. If you play these cards, you can link the Archosaur into a Link Karibo, link the Link Karibo into a Secure Gardenon, and then you can banish the Link Karibo and the Archosaur from grave to activate the Evolution Pill that you've just searched. It makes this a true combo that is a 1 card plus 1 destruction with Miscellaneousaurus and gets you into Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, and it's a bridge that I find coming up time and time again. Generic back row removal in the form of Nightmare Phoenix is pretty good. And Pentastag is a tech choice. This card's really good because you can summon it and then summon Ultimate Conductor Tyranno under it. Then when you attack your opponent's defense position monsters, you'll deal piercing damage instead of the typical 1000 damage that the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno has baked in. It'll allow you to do some lethal setups. This card also outs that Crooked Cook combo. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but it summons a monster that can't be destroyed by battle and is unaffected by card effects. So if you summon Pentastag, you can at least deal piercing damage and put them on a short clock. I have a Reaperdokus in the deck. This card has some effects, changing monster effects. I don't use them very often. It's mostly useful because it's a Link Dinosaur. So if you're really bricked, you can summon this and send it to graveyard so your Double Evolution Pill has a dinosaur to banish. You can use like random cards to summon it. It comes up a little bit. You can summon it in the Scrap engine as well. And Scrap Wyvern is a very, very useful card. It destroys cards on the field when you summon Scrap, so you can use this to destroy your opponent's cards non-targeted, and since you're going second deck. Going first, it lets you go into like an Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, or going second, an Axis Code. That's very useful, and you can use it turn after turn since it has once per turn effects. Appaloosa is my tech inclusion. You could play anything here, but I like it because you have a lot of leftover material in some of your scrap combos, so consolidating it into an Appaloosa will allow you to sometimes make boards like Appaloosa Ultimate Conductor Tyranno with like another card in hand, and that's really hard to break. Finally, of course, Axis Code Talker, just to simplify game states. You have a lot of Link monsters with different attributes you can send to graveyard, so it's really good. And Ultimate Conductor Tyranno with a Axis Code is over 8,000 damage, so that's a setup that you can easily find. Some tech choices I wanted to make you aware of would be Dogaran, the Mad Flame Kaiju, a really nice kaiju because it's a dinosaur. You can search this off of Oviraptor, and being able to search a kaiju is pretty useful. So playing one of this is exceptional. I do like additional copies of Baby Sarasaurus, but I don't like them in this going second list because they do tend to brick. In the next list I'm going to show you, you do play more than one. You could also play this card, this Croco Dragon. This card is a Synchro 9, so you'd make it with the Scrap Raptor plus the Scrap Golem, typically. And it lets you draw some cards and get generic destruction, quick play. Pretty useful. Abyss Dweller is another really good rank 4 that you can include in your package instead of one of these other options. Of course, you could play the third copy of Ash Blossom, more copies of Lightning Storm, always good. Pot of Prosperity is very considerable for this deck to improve consistency. Since you don't have any cards that draw, only cards that search, Pot of Prosperity is a nice inclusion. It does half your damage, however, but this deck is so good at doing damage, setting up like an Ultimate Conductor Tyranno with Dugaris and maybe even a Pentastag can deal like at least 16,000 damage, so the half damage effect doesn't really affect you that much. This deck does have a spell and trap negation in the form of Quaddalus. You summon this off of the double evolution pill, but it also has an inherent summon condition that sometimes comes up, shuffling 5 banished dinosaurs into the deck. It's pretty good. It searches for a pill when it dies. I don't play it because it's a little bricky, but definitely considerable. It was a little power crept by Archosaur when this card came out. I encourage Call by the Grave as well. If you wanted to play it in the main deck, it is really good. I chose not to play it because Miscellaneousaurus is kind of like an in-archetype Call by the Grave, but it is nice to be able to negate a Max C. The Zing engine is very cool, and we're going to talk about that in the next list. Alright, I've got a replay to show you. We're going second. We lost the dice roll, but of course we would choose second even if we won. Opening up DD Crow and Oviraptor, both of our Ultimate Conductor Tyrannos and a Fossil Dig. Pretty good. My opponent's going into Unizombie, so we have this DD Crow, we're feeling very good. Sends Mizuki here and actually discards from hand a white baking, so it's the Skull Servant deck. This deck's super funny. I have a buddy who loves this deck, he plays it all the time. And so this adds 2 and discards 1. This one, when discarded, is going to get to send more Skull Servants to graveyard. He uses the Mizuki here and targets the Skull Servant, the White Prince, and so we saved the DD Crow for whatever he targeted with Mizuki. You just wait for the Mizuki to activate and then Crow the target. It's a 2-for-1, right? And he has to pass here. The reason I'm showing this replay is because it's a good illustration of the basic combo. So we're going to start with Fossil Dig. We already have Oviraptor, so now we get Miscellaneousaurus to insulate our normal summon. We'll discard the Miscellaneous and activate Oviraptor. This can't get ashed. Searching out Baby Ceratosaurus, so now when we banish the Misk, it summons the Archosaur, and it has a really good target to pop. You know, we can pop the Baby Ceratosaurus to get its effect. We're searching for the double evolution pill to get another big body on the field, and the Baby Ceratosaurus summons from deck. You're always going to want to summon Giant Rex. Now, if we didn't have the DD Crow in graveyard, I would have gone into Link Karibo before going into Pentastag to make sure that I had a non-dinosaur in graveyard. But because we did, we can use the evolution pill, and you're going to want to banish the non-dinosaur, either the Link Karibo or the Crow, and always the Giant Rex. When we do it this way, we're going to summon the third target out of our deck, since we do play the Pankratops, good thing we do, but you can summon from hand if you have to. The Giant Rex will summon whenever it's banished. Then we're going to make Evolzar Dolka to make sure we don't lose to a Nibiru or any other hand traps my opponent's been holding. And since we had 2 remaining dinosaurs in graveyard, we can go ahead and summon Ultimate Conductor Tyranno from our hand. We're summoning it under the Pentastag, so that way when it attacks a defense position monster, it does piercing damage, and bang, we can just smack over that, and this is an easy, lethal setup. As you can see, we've set up a monster negate, we've made sure that our double evolution pill that we searched can resolve, and yeah, that's some of the destructive power of dinosaurs. I played this deck a lot though. It's pretty contingent upon what your opponent does, what you're going to do, but you're always going to want to set up a similar combo where you summon Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, backed up by the monster negate, and then you make sure that you use like either a Link Karibo or a different card to ensure that you have a target for the evolution pill. This seems like a good time to preview my next series that I'm going to be uploading to this channel. My goal is to take all the decks that I've covered in the beginner series, and there's still a few more to come, and I'm going to show gameplay, probably between 3 and 5 games per video, just me playing the decks. I'll be talking about analyzing the plays, talking about the different lines, and it'll be considered the advanced series. So after you've watched the beginner series, you'll have more gameplay, more content to look into these decks further and advance your understanding. There is one more build that I want to show you with dinosaurs, and this is a build that has almost never been theorized. The last time a deck like this was prevalent was in 2017. The world champion from Japan, Ryusuke, took a True King dinosaur deck to Worlds and won. However, it was a little different back then. We didn't have Scrap Raptor. Danglong hasn't been legal in the TCG for a long time. And there are just some different synergies with the deck that are making this a very interesting Master Duel choice. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it. You're going to play 1 copy of Jirac Alo in this list. This is so that way when you banish the Miscellaneousaurus, you can summon a tuner. And the reason being is that if you have Oviraptor plus a tuner, you can go into Danglong, the first of the Yang Zing. This card can add a Yang Zing card from your deck to your hand, which I'm not playing in this list I'm providing. I'll show you the best target though. But you can send a worm monster from your deck to your graveyard, you send one of these True Kings, and it becomes level 9. And that's half of the True King of Calamities. The goal of this deck is to summon True King of Calamities, but it also has the potential to remove all 5 cards from your opponent's hand. You can remove one with Cyframe Lord Omega, at least one, if not 2, with XX Saber Gothams, another one with Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier, and you can remove one with Phantom Fortress Enter Blathnir. So you can either go into this insane boss monster and lock your opponent out of monster effects, or you can remove their entire hand. That's the theory behind this. Some other choices that weren't included in the other list are the True King cards. Now, these cards are pretty cool. You just destroy 2 monsters in your hand or field, including a fire or including an earth, to summon them, and they're level 9. They each have secondary effects too, which are very good. But if you use Lithogasm, you can destroy cards like Baby Sarasaurus or Pterodon, and it gets their effects. So you're able to summon a starter out of your deck while also summoning a level 9. It's really good. This is a going first list, so you're going to play less of the Conductor Tyrannos and the Pills. That makes the Archosaur a little worse, so you might even want to play like only 2 Archosaur and 3 Baby. And then we have access to Terraforming since you now have Dragonic Diagram. Dragonic Diagram can just destroy one of your cards, so again, destroy Baby to search for a True King, and it'll start your whole combo by itself. Of course, we're playing Call by the Grave, because if you're trying to remove your opponent's whole hand, and they max C you, that's kind of counterintuitive. The extra deck includes the Danglong. We do have the Omega for the hand loop, same with Gothams for the hand loop. Trishula, you're usually summoning this with Aleo plus 2 level 4s, but you can also summon it with Scrap Raptor plus a level 1 plus a level 4. And it's a really good card in its own right, but you're also using it for the hand loop combo. Cloud Castle makes summoning King of Calamities much simpler, because if you have a level 9 in your graveyard, you can just special summon it back. Getting the Lithogasm or these cards in your graveyard is very easy with a card like Danglong that just sends them there. But you can also just use them and then destroy them, and later Cloud Castle, special one back, boom, VFD. You also have Enter Blathnir, which is a second target, so you have 2 level 9 XYZ monsters, and this card's actually really good, not only for the hand loop, but for its own effects. Of course, you're playing Dolka to insulate your plays from monster effects, and you do need these 2 just so your Archosaur doesn't end up dead. We do play a couple Nightmares and an Access Code and the Scrap Engine as well. Some other choices for this deck, some tech, would include playing a larger Yang Zing engine. Now, this is what the OCG players were doing. They were playing a larger engine, but now that we have the Scrap Engine with Scrap Raptor, I think it might slightly outclass this. Though, this is a bit untested. I'll be talking more about this in a future video. But you could play Bian, the Earth of the Yang Zing, so it's another Earth target here. These summon when Danglong is sent to graveyard, so you'll summon one of these. And the real reason is because 9 Pillars of the Yang Zing can be searched off of Danglong, and then when it's activated, you can just negate any spell trap or monster effect, destroying a Yang Zing you control. When you destroy Danglong, it summons another one. If you like synchro this off, you can summon one of these as your target. You also have Chiwen. Suwani is nice because it's a fire target. But you could also play this True King Barastros. It's a water one, so you'd have to change your main deck to facilitate it. But it has a pretty good graveyard effect, summoning a worm water, a non-water worm from your deck in defense position. So you can use it to kind of like climb into synchros, but I didn't consider it in this list. Again, you could play Pot of Prosperity. There's no drawing in this deck, it's just searching. This will make your combo even more consistent. And this is a very exciting list with a lot of theory behind it. My list may not be perfect, but I do think that fundamentally, removing all the cards from your opponent's hand or summoning King of Calamities are both extremely good win conditions. So if this is something you're interested in, we'll be talking a lot more about this deck in the Discord and on my stream. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, we're going to be doing another video with this Dinosaur deck, playing 3 to 5 games. I'll be talking about them in depth, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for all the support. I hope you have a great day.